Good Lord, don't drag me down. Don't be messing with me. Don't get me to say something I dare not. Damn it, brother, don't even get me to think something I dare not. I can feel the bruises already. Waiting for me, I can taste my blood. There, but for the grace of God, go I. Mitakai Arason, as I was saying. I want to talk about democracy. I want to talk about a free society. And please, if these things I speak about matter to you, maybe you could like and comment and especially subscribe. And now, let us define our terms. Democracy cannot exist without freedom. Freedom is a chimera, a fully indulged fantasy, and any other system other than a democracy. Oh, sure, we could speak of freedom within an anarchy, which is a total absence of government. Anarchy depends on people to regulate and govern themselves. That's a big ask. Freedom without order is, in a word, fatal. People will get hurt. People will die. Now, don't get me wrong. Freedom is achievable in an ideal anarchy when people, everyone, are so self-regulated that they pose no danger to anyone. Does this sound like any community you know? This too is a chimera. Democracy is the only opportunity for freedom and personal growth. Now, there isn't a democracy on the planet that doesn't have its problems, not one that is not flawed. And flawed in the same regard that anarchy is flawed. See, it's not the system of democracy that's flawed, not the structure, not the ideal that's blemished. Rather, the blame for these flaws is assigned properly to the people who are responsible for democracy's function, and to the people who are governed by its function. With anarchy, these blemishes are insurmountable, but with democracy, they are surmountable. Absolutely essential to this basic equation is the irrefutable knowledge that you can say whatever you want and not face censure or sanctioned from your government, from your democratically elected officials, perhaps the very officials you chose, or perhaps not. That's not to say that individuals or groups won't be upset with you for what you say or do not say. I mean, it's not even a question of, will I escape offending anyone? Sure as breathing, you will offend people. We open our mouths to speak, and we risk offending. If we choose not to open our mouths to speak, we risk offending. We rise from our beds in the morning or walk out the front door, and we risk offending. This is inescapable. So we might as well take that risk for ideas that are actually meritable. And this is crucial. For you to feel it is safe to speak freely, you must be able to think freely. It comes down to discipline again, self-regulation. It takes an extraordinary spirit to think freely and not allow those free, uncensored thoughts to the exposure of air. Be it nighttime air or daytime air, be it air drenched with rain from the heavens, or air drenched with humidity or snow or ice. It doesn't matter if you can see your breath or see and feel the sweat escaping your pores. It doesn't matter if you can smell the roses or smell the sewage plant. You have to be free to think, which means you have to be free to speak whenever and wherever you like. And yes, you have to be able to put up with people whose opinions you find unsavory. That's the price you pay, and yet it's also the glory, the reward, because that means you have a challenge. Why would you want to be around people who agree with everything you say? Why would you confine yourself to thinking that the only way to deal with such people is to beat them, arrest them, shout them down, silence them, and allow them to cause you no end of anger and anxiety? You see, the challenge is to engage them and thereby engage yourself. A free exchange of ideas is thinking out loud, to be sincere in the belief that even your ideas could use some refinement. For how could any of us be absolutely certain of anything we say, anything we believe? What about this hard and uncompromising life of ours would lead us to believe that we can't be wrong? In short, we need the free thoughts of others to help us think. Let me take this one step further. Speaking is thinking. If we parrot, just those things we read and hear that align with our personal ideology. And if we just speak those thoughts that our minds formulate without any attempt to challenge those same thoughts, then we aren't thinking and we aren't engaging in free speech. We're pursuing a very limited form of free thought and speech. We voluntarily restrain ourselves, which means that we will voluntarily exert every effort to restrain the free thought and speech of others. We must be free to speak so that we can properly think, so that we can reason and learn, even if it's painful. If we speak and think without any attempt to learn, then we are not properly free. And in this environment, democracy cannot thrive. In this environment, democracy dies. Freedom dies. How many people do you know who do just that, who simply repeat what they read online? Maybe repeat from a trusted news source, although I don't know if any such thing exists anymore. Or they repeat the words of the anointed fact checkers, or repeat what a friend told them, or even repeat a tidbit of gossip overheard in the grocery checkout line. Anything that aligns with their chosen ideology. That's not democracy, not even close. Democracies wither and rot in such an environment. We need to speak, and we need to speak our views that may offend others, which is all of them, all of our views. We need to be open to the idea that we can learn, even from those we deem most unsavory. And I don't mean learn about them, but learn from them about life. Let's take Adolf, for example. Hitler's been all the rage for several years now. Yes, it seems that everybody wants to compare everybody else to Hitler. He's supposed to be the epitome of evil. But here's an interesting fact or three. Hitler passed an animal rights law. He found jobs for his nation's unemployed. He donated to charity and expected his officers to do the same. Granted, he did all this for the Gentile German citizens. But the point is, he had a few admirable qualities. A person denouncing him or arguing with a neo-Nazi might be inspired to treat animals better after hearing that Hitler tried to ban hunting and passed a law ensuring that any animal destined for slaughter had to be anesthetized first. Germany's current animal welfare laws were introduced by the Nazi Party. So even Germany's current political establishment allowed themselves to learn about the dignity of life from the Nazis. Of course, anyone who defied the Nazi animal welfare laws was sent to a concentration camp, so there's that. But the fact remains that Hitler and the Nazis had a few good qualities. We have to be open to the fact that we can learn from each other, and of course, that the other can learn from us. Because you know what? If we are dedicated to finding common ground and recognizing that common ground aloud, then the odds are very good that we can keep learning from each other. The odds are very good that we can actually improve each other, better each other, become better human beings and better citizens, and thus we can now employ the mechanisms by which we can better our families, our neighborhoods, our communities, our nations, our world. Betterment of ourselves, of all these things I just listed, depend upon free expression. I pointed out last week that in Stalin's Russia, you had to censor your thoughts because an unguarded thought spoken in a moment of frustration and weariness could earn you lifetime imprisonment in the gulag. Perhaps even an unguarded thought that expressed itself in nothing more than a loud sigh or a frown at the wrong moment could earn you that gulag sentence. Good Lord, don't drag me down. Don't be messing with me. Don't get me to say something I dare not. Damn, sister. Don't get me to even think something I dare not. I can feel the bruises already waiting for me. I can taste my blood. The unmistakable odor of fear. If you plan to better yourself and better your society, you must be free to think and speak without restraint. It is nothing short of moral obligation to think freely and speak freely and to allow all others to do the same. Thus we, the holy creation of God, are free to realize our potential. And by realizing our individual potential, we contribute to society realizing its potential. My work as a therapist and counselor and life coach contributes to the well-being of others, to helping this society run smoother, since all these others are also contributing members of our society. So too these video presentations. I contribute to the world, and I ask others to help me work through these ideas. Maybe even introduce hitherto unconsidered ideas to help me grow, to help me be better. To put a final point to this dissertation, we all want to be recognized at the most basic, fundamental dissection of our souls. We all just want to be heard. We all fervently desire to have our speech, which is nothing more than our thoughts being shared and spoken aloud, to have merit, to be weighty enough that others will listen to it. We want, somehow, for order to be brought forth from the chaos of our thoughts, order from the million jillion ideas of others vying for our attention. Bringing order out of chaos is the mission, the purpose of humanity. We cannot accomplish this without free thought, without free speech. It is our moral obligation as individual travelers upon this sphere. It is our government's moral obligation to its citizens. It is why we were created. Peace. 4 fingers.